I thought that was pretty cool. Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Norm R. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. Some quick FUD debunking here. Brian Gitt says EVs are one of the least cost-effective ways to lower CO2 emissions. An EV must be driven 124,000 miles before it works off its carbon debt. Nope, this is wrong. This is directly from Tesla's 2021 impact report, 6,500 miles. The manufacturing process of Model 3 and Y currently results in slightly higher greenhouse gas emissions than an equivalent combustion engine vehicle. However, based on the global weighted average grid mix, Model 3 and Y have lower lifetime emissions than an equivalent ICE after driving only 6,500 miles. And if you'd like some more info on this topic, I will link Auke Hoekstra's Twitter below and just check out his pinned tweet for some more resources. You guys know I like highlighting creators that are putting out great work, and this tweet thread from Forward Cap was excellent. I will link the full thing below, but I just want to highlight a few slides. Look at Tesla's operating expenses as a percent of revenue, dropping steadily over time over the last few years, dipping below 10% in Q1. So over the last 5 years, Tesla has nearly 7x'd its revenue, while its operating expenses have not even doubled. Similar story here with vehicles delivered and employees. Tesla has done over a 9x in cars delivered, while employees have only grown 2.5 times. And these might be the two charts that you want to screenshot. Every time somebody argues, oh, Tesla's terrible at making cars, the build quality is awful. Well, just remember, we have a stat we can actually look at, and it's the warranty cost per unit delivered. So Tesla has cut these warranty costs per unit delivered in half over the last few years, but it gets better. Here's the money chart. With this metric, Tesla now second in the industry behind only Toyota, who makes on average less expensive vehicles, less expensive parts, thus less expensive warranty repair. A better comparison would probably be BMW, so Tesla definitely leading the premium segment in this metric. And the last one I want to highlight, on a GAAP earnings before interest and taxes, excluding credits per delivery basis, Tesla went from losing around $3,000 per car in 2018 to now making $9.4 thousand in GAAP EBIT per vehicle. And compared to the rest of the industry, this number excluding credits is basically 3 times higher than most of the competition like Toyota, Ford, GM, and Stellantis. So if you need a thread to share with somebody who doesn't understand Tesla's efficiency or operating leverage, this is an excellent choice. Shifting to the FSD Beta 10.12 update that we've been waiting for some time. If we go back, remember Elon said this update will have major improvements for tricky unprotected lefts and heavy traffic in general, also making good progress with single stack. And fast forward to today, Elon said limited release may have gone out on Sunday. Now they evaluate, do a point update, and broaden the release. 10.12.2 is probably where we can expand to a safety score of 95 plus. And Elon was asked, will 10.12 include the max speed increase on autopilot, to which he said yes. This is kind of confusing. I'm not sure if he's referring to just the FSD Beta having the max speed increased, or if Elon actually meant that the regular production version of autopilot, the non-FSD version, will also be getting a speed limit max increase bump. As far as I know, right now it's still only 5 miles an hour above the speed limit, but please correct me if I'm wrong. I really love this clip of Elon talking with the Indonesian president. He was really fired up, so have a listen.
Sure. Well, I'm very excited about the future of Indonesia, and I'm really fired up by people in Indonesia seem very optimistic and positive about the future, which is awesome. So I think Indonesia has tremendous potential, and I think we're going to look closely from a Tesla and SpaceX standpoint to try to do some partnerships in Indonesia, and I think, you know, I'm really fired up by how fired up you all are. Like you're, you know, your positive energy is very, you know, it's great to see such positive energy. And like I said, I think the future of Indonesia is very bright. I think we're looking closely at potential collaboration on many fronts. Like I said, I think Indonesia has tremendous potential on so many levels. And I think it's great that Indonesia has a big population and the population is growing. And this is very good. because like we need a lot of people for the future, and also Mars. Mars does not have any people, and so we need people for Mars. Volunteers, we want to. It is a volunteer basis, though.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
When do you plan to Indonesia, maybe?
Hopefully in November. There was an invitation to visit in November, and I'm very appreciative, and thank you for the invitation.
And then just this morning, replying to a tweet from Joko Widodo, Elon said it was an honor to meet at Starbase and discuss exciting future projects. So we know that Indonesia has massive nickel reserves, but check this out. In 2014, the country even banned exports of nickel ore to force miners to process the ore domestically and thereby add value to its nickel production. Indonesia's first plant to process nickel for use in batteries was commissioned in May of last year, with at least 7 more projects in the pipeline. Why is Indonesia doing this? They're aiming to attract investments in smelters and processing plants, thereby adding value to its nickel reserves compared to simply exporting the nickel ore. Now, Indonesia wants to become a battery production hub. Further, it's very important to note the steel and battery-related nickel products are very different and generally require separate nickel feedstock, manufacturing processes, and plants. Battery cathode production usually requires Class 1 products that contain a minimum of 99.8% nickel. Indonesia is rich in laterite ore, but it doesn't have sulfide ore resources, which in general are a good fit for producing this Class 1 nickel. However, there is a new technique using mixed hydroxide precipitate or an intermediate resource. This MHP can be further refined to Class 1 nickel. In a new development, MHP is also used directly to produce battery cathodes, skipping the step of refining Class 1 products, which allows better for an integrated supply chain from mine to cathode. Sound familiar? And if you'd really like to nerd out on this, I will include that previous article and this one with more on MHP below. Some news articles this morning were using data from Tesla Adri's tweet, basically saying that Cybertruck orders are now no longer available outside of North America. If you pop these pictures into an image translator, you can see at the bottom where the order button used to be, now it has been changed to only receiving updates. And this is just one anecdote, but I wanted to try to confirm this, so I looked through the forums, and this user said, "Interesting, might explain why my UK reservation has been canceled by Tesla at 8 a.m. this morning, and the holding deposit is being returned." And they continued, "Just took a phone call from Tesla regarding the cancellation. It is indeed due to high volumes of orders in the United States and the US being their focus for late 23, early 24 rollout, and the current expected lack of regulatory compliance outside of the US due to the sharp angles not being permitted in many other countries. Affected reservations are being canceled manually and people being contacted. Apparently, a tweet will follow with the formal news." So yeah, this is definitely unfortunate for people outside of North America wanting a Cybertruck, as it looks like they'll be waiting at least another few years as Tesla works through any regulatory hurdles getting a truck like Cybertruck approved for those areas. And we already know that demand for the Cybertruck is very strong in the States, as Elon has said that there's enough demand to fulfill their production capabilities for at least the first 3 years. And now this doesn't have to mean that if you're outside of America, you're going to be waiting until 2028. Sure, it's possible, but this could just be a case of Tesla wanting to get more information on the regulatory side and more data about how quickly it'll be able to produce these vehicles before opening up orders to places outside of the States. And we mentioned some of this data last week, but Car and Driver came out with this bullish EV article. We talked about EV registrations being up 60% in Q1 this year over Q1 2021, and this increase now puts EV penetration for new car sales at 4.6% or higher based on who you ask. I say that because according to Cox Automotive, their estimate of the EV market share for the first quarter of this year was 5.2%. And why does this matter? Because once we can get that 4 to 5% closer to 10% and hopefully work out some of these supply chain and production issues, it's going to be good. Here we have Tesla Mag saying some sources reached out with an update on production at Giga Berlin, saying that 86 Model Y Performance are currently being produced per day, which is about 600 per week. Now, if we go back to the last report, Electric was saying Giga Berlin was doing about 350 Model Ys per week, so this would be almost a doubling of production. However, the article is also reporting that when the cars are done, instead of then being driven to be sold, they're going to an area to be fixed. citing there's rework to fix ill-fitting sheet metal, paint defects, or scratches. Tesla Mag was told there's currently a lack of employees for the commissioning of a second line after we just heard that Giga Berlin had hired up to 4,000 of the expected 12,000 employees. And it goes on, drives or the drivetrain and batteries for the German Model Y are currently still being supplied entirely from China. There should still be batteries for about 14 days, at least for the drives. However, the drivetrain, local production is planned from June. So as mentioned, this is just one anecdote. None of the major news publications have picked this up, so take it for what it's worth. GM is now benchmarking the Model Y. How can you tell? Apparently because of these stickers on the bumper. I do think it's interesting though that for the company leading the EV revolution has to benchmark another company. We get some pricing for the Cadillac Lyriq. The rear wheel drive trim will start at $62,900 and should be available in the fall. Renault is looking to spin off its EV business, and they said it could bring on board 10,000 new employees by next year, and its business model would be adapted to the specificities of EVs and would be able to forge partnerships in technologies and services. The EV business would be kept in France, could potentially be grouped together under the mobility brand name Mobilize, with the French government holding a 15% stake in the company. Keeping its high-profile EV business in the country is essential. And Ford is continuing to offload Rivian shares, this time selling another 7 million shares, yes, in addition to the previous 8 million that it sold previously. The shares were sold around $27 per share, and the sale leaves Ford with around 86.9 million shares, or a 9.7% stake in Rivian. And we have Uber with an EV update. Soon, riders will be able to select a new Comfort electric tier in the Uber app to request a ride in an EV. Vehicles included in the Comfort EV program at launch will include all of the Tesla models, the Polestar 2, and the Ford Mustang Mach-E, with more makes coming over time. This Comfort electric tier will launch in LA, San Francisco, San Diego, and Dubai today. And in a further push to incentivize EVs, Uber is also updating its Uber Driver app to include a new EV hub. This toolkit will help drivers to calculate EV incentives and the cost to own and operate an electric car and compare with conventional vehicles. That'll do it for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.